another Taubmans live colour event. My name's Fiona. I am the Taubmans colour specialist, and we're here tonight to talk all things colour. As we always say, we're here to answer all of your colour queries, whether you're embarking on a renovation or you're just wanting to paint the interior or exterior of your home. We are here to help you with colour, to help you with advice on any projects that you may be endeavouring to do at the moment, and also we're here to assist you with any information that you would like to know about our wonderful portfolio of products that we have available to help you to perfect your space. Now, while I'm mentioning products, I'm going to let you know that we have a great opportunity for everybody out there who is painting. If you're purchasing or by purchasing 4 litres of Taubmans premium paints, which include Endure All Weather 3-in-1 and our enamels range, and then upload your proof of purchase, you can go into the chance to win one of 50 $1,000 prizes. So you've got 50 chances to win $1,000. Now, all of the information, etc., around this competition has been pinned to the top of our Facebook page, so I would encourage you to have a look and you'll find out a little bit more about it. So as always, we are live streaming here for the next half an hour, and as we are streaming, so I've learnt, it's really hard for you to upload any photos. So if you do want to upload some images that you would like some assistance or advice on with colours, etc., if you can just hold off until we finish streaming, and then I can certainly work on and have a look at your images. But while we are streaming, we certainly suggest that you upload any questions, etc., that you do have, and I will do my best to answer them on screen for you. If not, I sit back there for quite a while. I'm going through all the questions, so your question will get answered. But anyway, let's begin tonight's session. So as you would notice from the live event, we are focusing on exteriors. However, you do not have to just ask about exteriors. It's also about interiors, project, etc., etc., as I already mentioned. Look, one of the most commonly asked questions when people are embarking on an exterior project is, what is the best white to use for my exterior? Now, look, there are so many variables, there are so many whites out there, you know, there are thousands of shades. So I thought, you know, I'm going to focus on that tonight. And if you've been watching sessions, I did an earlier session regarding whites and greys. And I did mention how whites have a tendency when they're used on an exterior to actually bleach out or be diluted by the sun. And they can then, you know, if the undertone in it isn't very forgiving, if you like, it can become very, very glary. And, you know, you'll find yourself sitting outside there having a drink, late afternoon, full sun, needing your sunglasses on. So I'm going to give you a few, I suppose, tips to help you on your colour journey, and a few tips that are going to help alleviate the need to wear sunglasses because that white is too glary. So you probably want to know, you know, how do we find this out? So when we're talking about whites, the first thing, and you know, I understand the path to purchase begins at a colour wall where you're standing there and you're deliberating over what colour, what white's going to work, etc., etc. So I suggest, sorry, I'm looking at a question that I have, which I'll come back to in a moment. I suggest when you go to a colour wall and you're viewing whites, one really crucial tip, one of the best tips that I can give you is look at the colour wall is broken down. You've got cool whites and neutrals, and you've got warm whites and neutrals. So, you know, if you start at the warm whites and neutrals, if you're wanting to do the whole exterior of your dwelling in a white, because I do find that if you're using a really bright white that tends to have just black or even just blue in it, you risk the chance of it being quite glary. So when you're standing at the colour wall, look there. The best advice I can give you is to, you know, if you put all of the colour chips up together and you're looking at them, you'll go, oh, they all start to look the same and it's really hard to determine what's what. Get yourself a brilliant white colour chip and hold your colour up against it. If you're unable to get a brilliant white colour chip, or you've picked a heap of colours and you're taking them home to have a look at them, put them against a bright white piece of paper or a bright white piece of card, and that will enable you to have a look at the colour, view each colour chip individually against the white backdrop, and it really gives you the ability to sort of understand and to hone in and have a look at what sort of undertone the colour has. So the next tip I'm going to give you is do not view your white inside. So if you're looking for an exterior white, view it outside. If you're looking for an interior white, view it inside. And it's really, really important, because if you're looking at the white that you want to use for the exterior of your dwelling, and you're looking inside and you're walking around and you're looking at it like this, you're really not getting a true understanding of how the colour is going to look when it is outside, or when it's placed up against, if you've got weatherboards or whatever it may be. So view the colour outside. And you'll often see me, if you come across me in a store and if I'm helping consumers with colour, I do exactly that. I walk away, even though the lights on a colour wall are daylight, but I generally walk away and I'll take the colour, if I can, outside to really have a look at how it's going to work. So that's another tip. The next thing I'm going to say to you all out there is, if your friend Jane down the road has a beautiful white and you think, oh, I want to use that for my dwelling, don't just go out and buy, 80 litres of the colour. Trial it first and trial it within your space. And the reason I say that, and this is really, really important, because you've got to take into consideration what's going on around the exterior of your dwelling, and things like the colour of your driveway, your roof colour, brick colour, etc., will influence the white. So that's another really important tip. And as I touched on before, avoiding whites that have a black or blue tint if you're wanting to do the whole exterior of the dwelling, and especially if it's situated in an area where you're getting full sun all of the time, let's say where there's not a lot of trees around or something that can cast a natural shadow. So if you do use, quite a bright white, you are going to risk it being really glary. Now, another suggestion is to have a look for whites that have more of a softer undertone. And when I say creamier sort of undertone, I'm not necessarily referring to go out and get something that's got a yellow base. I'm just saying more of a softer undertone. And I do find that a safe bet, and you'll see that I favour to work from whites that generally have a beautiful soft green undertone, and it's what I refer to as being a neutral sort of undertone. And you'll find by using something like that, it's definitely going to be easier to work with. It's very adaptable and it will work with pretty much anything. Now, I always say to sample the colour before you go and paint the whole exterior of your dwelling with it. And brush out a large piece of cardboard and view the sample. So, this is where, honestly, I cannot stipulate how important it is to get that sample pot. And the reason I say that is a sample pot becomes your best friend when you're starting to look for exterior colours, and as we're talking about whites. So I suggest, I'll give you an example. So say you've got a beautiful old Queenslander that has a wraparound veranda, and, the house sits back from the veranda a little bit, and you've got some beautiful old weatherboards. Now, if you're looking to paint a white under there, what you need to be mindful of is that you're going to get shadowing casting onto the weatherboards, and that's coming from obviously the overhang of the veranda. So if you're looking at the white and you want to know how it's going to look, don't put it on the outside where the veranda sits, pop it up against the boards of the house underneath that veranda, so you can see how much shadowing, whether you think you need to go brighter with the white, etc. And as I said, a sample pot's your best friend. Personally, I don't paint directly on the exterior. I usually get myself a large piece of cardboard, and I say this every week, at least 1 metre by 1 metre. And I suggest brushing out on the card 3 coats of the colour that you're sampling, and then moving around that piece of cardboard around the dwelling, different times of day, different areas, in full sun, in shade, so you really get a great understanding of how that colour is going to perform within its environment for you. So, you've got to remember that ultimately, colour is very much a personal choice, but I think if you can make some educated decisions and you can trial it at home, it can alleviate any disappointment. Now, there is another crucial element that I look at when we start talking about colours, and this is possibly more on the technical side, so I want to take you through that. So each colour, and we've talked about this before if you've been watching these sessions, but each colour has its own unique LRV, which is a light reflective value, and it can be used to help with making, decisions. So it can certainly relieve any angst when selecting from the many shades of white. So to demonstrate the LRV, I'm going to reference a colour that I created for my exterior renovation. Now, as I always talk, we are embarking on a renovation and it's still going, and we've just had a pool in and we're using this beautiful modular wall, and I've created some colours with Coloursmith, and I've created a colour called Poolside Bliss. But before I go into the creation and how to do it, I just want to talk you through something very special. I want to share something special. So we have a Coloursmith competition which is open for entries right now. So everybody watching, I know that you must be a lover of interior styling and colour, just like me. And I'm sure you've all heard of interior designer and Open Homes Australia host James Treble, who is a passionate supporter of Taubmans. Anyway, to celebrate our partnership with James, we're currently running a competition where you have the chance to win one of 2 subscriptions to James Treble's practical design course. This is amazing. So to enter, you need to create your own colour using Coloursmith, and we want to see your colour, and we also want to know the inspiration behind your Coloursmith creation. So James will be one of our judges, so put your best colour forward. More details on how to enter are pinned to the top of our Facebook page. So, everybody get creating, go over there, have a look at what the competition entails. It's really, really exciting. And as you know, I always talk every week about Coloursmith. I think it is amazing. And before we move on, and I will share my Poolside Bliss colour with you in a moment, I'll quickly, talking about Coloursmith, talking about a competition, talking about creating your own colour and then sharing your inspiration. I've shared this many times, but I'm quickly going to share it again tonight. A colour that I created, it's called Infectious Laughter. My inspiration are my 2 beautiful girls. Now, when they were young, we used to go and visit this park opposite our house. And every day we would visit this park, and my kids would be on the swing and they'd be saying, push higher, mummy, higher. And I'd push and push and push. And I would fixate on this plant that was just lying underneath the fence, and the leaves were beautiful, and I'd watch them unfurl from a beautiful fresh new green to, as the older leaves were there, more distinguished. I can't even get my words out tonight. And they were the most beautiful, beautiful tones of green. And, my kids would squeal with delight, and they had this most amazing laughter. And so pretty much I have captured their laughter, which when I talk about it, it gives me goosebumps. And I've created a beautiful colour called Infectious Laughter. It's after my beautiful girls. And I have that, it's displayed in my living area on a beautiful big barn door. And, as I come home from work every day and I close that door and I look at it, and, I smile about what that colour means to me, because it brings back memories of when my children were really little. So, I always talk about colour being personal, colour having the ability to evoke an emotion, and this is what Coloursmith does for us. So very quickly, I'm going to take you over to Coloursmith because I'm talking about LRV, light reflective value, and this is getting technical with our colours, but this is something that if you are embarking on painting your exterior and you're looking for white, this is a little tip that can actually help you when you're selecting your whites. So I'm quickly going to go over to, I'm going to change my screen, pop myself up in the corner there. Now you can see here I have the Coloursmith app, which I'm going to open up. It's taking a moment. Now this time around, I'm going to go straight. You can see down the bottom, along the bottom row, right in the center there is a C. I'm going to go straight to that, which takes me to my color library of all of the colors that I have previously created. Now you'll see up the top there is a color called Poolside Bliss, which I'm going to open up. Now we can see here. Now, as we look onto the screen here, you can see you can see color values with a question mark, but you can also see RGB LRV. So this has an LRV of 57, so a light reflectance value of 57. Now, I'm going to show you where you can get a little bit more information about LRV. So I'm just going to go where it says color values, and on the question mark there, open that up. Now you can see here The top RGB indicates the red, green and blue. I use that when you've been watching these sessions. When I do a drawing, say on Google SketchUp, I create a color. I use the RGBs of a color to superimpose it into my computer program. The LRV, or light reflectance value, and I'm going to read exactly what it says on the screen here, refers to how light or dark a paint color will look on a scale of 0, black, to 100, white. The higher the LRV number is, the lighter the color is. So that's really, really important. So when I reference that, so for example, I'll hit OK, the LRV for my Poolside Bliss is, as I would say, it's a perfect color. You know, I can hop in the pool, I can look at this color, there is no glare. When we start to look for whites, I look at the LRV and I benchmark colors against certain colors that I know work really, really well outside. So I'm going to now take you to my laptop and I'll pop myself back up in the screen. Okay, so if you take yourself to taubmans.com.au and you'll go straight to the website as I have here, and I can actually scroll down. Now, all of the colours are grouped by colour family, which is fantastic when you start your colour journey. But I can also continue down here to where it says order colour swatches. Now, I'm going to go here because I want to show you where you can find the LRV of a colour. So if we go down here, I can search colour, name and number. So I'm actually going to search straight away for Surf Mist. Surf Mist is a very, very popular white used for a lot of exteriors and it performs really, really well. It has an LRV of, let me have a look, I think it is 66.97, but I will just type in Surf Mist, if I can spell, and let's have a look here. On screen, you go, oh, that doesn't look like a white, it looks quite dark. But when you take it outside and when it has the sun up against the colour, it does tend to dilute out. But having said that, there is enough tint in there or enough intensity within this colour for it to handle it. So it is a beautiful, beautiful colour. So if I go into view colour details here, it brings up all of the information about the colour. So as I showed you before on Coloursmith, you've got your RGB. So the RGB is here and then the LRV is here, 66.97. So for me, when I start to talk about using whites for exterior, I usually look at using something that sits at around about 70 if I want to be safe, if I'm looking at using it for an exterior that doesn't have a lot of shadowing, etc., and that cops a lot of sun. Now, I want to show you another colour which I really, really also favour. Let me just go back up here. Oops. Which is Gazebo White. That is a beautiful white and again performs very well outside. Oops. There we go. I'll just open that one up as well. Here we go. So as I showed you before, the RGB, and then if we go down here to where it says LRV, so it's got an LRV of 71.19. It's another fantastic colour for using outside. Very, very adaptable, works extremely well in many conditions, and it will sit against many colours. So this is just an example. Look, we do have the most beautiful, look, some other colours that I love to work with. I'll come back onto the screen now. Alpine Snow, I think Alpine Snow is divine. You've got Crisp White and Miss Universe, fantastic colours there, and especially Miss Universe is a really bright white. And so if I'm, painting the exterior of my house in a particular, let's say for example, we could use Gazebo White, but I'm wanting something for my trims that are going to highlight the colour. You can look to something like Miss Universe. It has an RGB of 85.23. But these are just important tips. So if you are embarking on a colour journey, you're looking to find the perfect white for yourself. If you follow the tips that I've just outlined tonight, you really can't go wrong. The most important thing, view your whites up against a white piece of card or a brilliant white colour chip. Get yourself a sample pot and paint a piece of card and view it within the exterior, you know, within the surrounds that it's going to live, so you can see how the colour will perform. And do use, as I do, you know, don't be shy to have a look at the technical side and have a look at the LRV, the light reflectance value of the colour. And that can also help you to make that educated guess or decision when you start looking for whites. Now, I do have quite a lot of questions here that I'm going to start to answer. So, sorry, I'm looking and reading at the same time. Okay. Hi, Irene. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We are looking at Taubmans Mobster. Will the colour change if we use it with acrylic render? I guess what happens when you use an acrylic render, and because you've got, if you like, highs and lows within a render as such, and you'll get the light reflecting from different angles, so to speak. So if you've got more of a flat, smooth surface, the light reflects differently. If you've got, as I'm saying, a stippled sort of surface, the light will go into the crevices and then bounce off the top. So, but using Taubmans Mobster, will the colour change if we use it with acrylic render? I think you'd be pretty safe to use that, and I think you're going to get a really good outcome. So stick to it. It's a fantastic colour. Hi Michelle, thank you very much for joining our session. So you gave me, as in I've given you some advice a couple of weeks ago on what whites go with a surf mist roof. I'm now narrowing down to get a dark white, light beige. Do you think pebble bay cladding goes with surf mist, or do I need something that is more grey? Let me just grab my fan deck. I think you're pretty well safe. Let's just have a quick look. Just bear with me a moment, because pebble bay is what we would describe as being a greige. So it's in between a beige and a grey. I think it's a fantastic colour. Okay, let me just focus instead of trying to read and look. All right, 12, let me see here. Okay, using pebble bay, I do have a surf mist here. You could use pebble bay. It's not too dissimilar. Like, there is a little bit of a variance between surf mist and pebble bay. Pebble bay is slightly more on, as I said before, like slightly more on the beige side. If you're wanting to, I'm just reading your question again, something that's more grey, have a look at, you could also have a look at Taubmans Grey Locks. That's certainly another colour that's going to work. Slightly on the greyer side. Taubmans, let me have a look here. I'm looking at Taubmans Malamute, and I'm thinking that could work as well. However, no. Yeah, Taubmans Malamute works. Sorry, I'm working and talking at the same time here. You could also have a look at Taubmans Smoke Haze. That's another colour to definitely consider. And Amenity as well is another. Actually, Amenity looks really good. There's not a huge amount of variance, but there's just enough to create some interest. So have a look at that as well. So that's Taubmans Amenity. Have a look at those. If you find that you're wanting some more advice, please, I'm going to be online for quite a while, so I'm more than happy to keep throwing a few more colour options at you. Okie dokie, so let me just see here, Taubmans Systematic. I have a question here from Tracy. Thank you very, very much for joining our session tonight. I have started painting Taubmans Systematic on my house, but finding it a bit purple in some light. Can you suggest a grey as dark but not as purple? Let me just see if I have it here with me in my fan deck. I'll just hop online and see if I can find it, and then we'll find something that is going to work for you. Let me just quickly see. I should share my screen so that you can all see what I'm doing. I forget sometimes. I just go on my own happy little way here. Okay, so I'm back to here. Let me just have a look. Systematic. Are we getting anything coming up? No. Okay, I might just have to park that question for you there. And I'll come back to you, Tracy, once I hop offline, and I'll do a little bit more research in some of my other colour collateral here just to find your colour. Oh, Megan, thank you very much for joining our session tonight. Your question is, how do you know if the white you select from a colour chart has a green undertone? Okay, so when you start viewing a colour chart, you'll see that they run, let me just see here. Let's see if I can find my whites and neutrals. So I'm looking at, where are we? All right, so I'll open this up for you. Taubmans whites and neutrals. So when you open up a colour chart, our colour chart is very easy to work around. As we can see here, on one side it says cool and on the other side it says warm. And the way it's designed to work is you can either work from the cool side or you can work from the warm side. So, and also you'll start to see that when I look at, I don't know whether you can see it as well there, this side here is, it's quite cream. This side is actually going down into having quite a few, I guess you could say, a bit of a red sort of undertone to it. So we know that it's warm. And then when you look here, you've got colours that start with being quite blue, going into a green, going into, if we push it right over there, we're going into almost into a greyish sort of tone that tends to start to throw, it's got that green grey undertone. So if you look on the colour chart and you're looking at all of the colours sort of in one space, you can start to quickly look at it and go, yep, that's definitely got sort of a more of a green sort of undertone feel to it. And you can certainly, as I'm looking here, I can look at that and go, wow, you know, this has definitely got, for example, here, you look here, it's certainly got pink sort of undertones and very yellowy, creamy undertones. So that's a really good starting point. The other thing you'll find, the way that the colour wall is laid out, it does say cool whites and neutrals, warm whites and neutrals, etc. And you can really start to hone in. Like I know that when I stand at the colour wall and look, you can really see the colours that have sort of that green undertone. So you'll see it when you stand back. The other way, when you're viewing the Taubmans colours, you're on the Taubmans website, as you scroll through, the background is white. So it gives you an idea when you're looking at the colours of what sort of undertone is in it. And it's quite easy to start to get a feel for, as I've shown you with the colour brochure here, but online on the web, same sort of feel. So you can scroll through and you can see, oh, that's got very much a blue undertone. It throws a lot of grey. That's got a brown undertone, etc., etc. So yeah, you start to pick it up. And as I said before, you know, one of the best tips is to put it up against a white colour chip or a white, bright white piece of paper or card, and you can really start to see what's happening with the colour. All right, I think that I'm just making sure to see if I Oh, Tracy, that's fine. No worries at all. Thanks for that. She's come back telling me that she thinks the colour, it's actually not a Taubmans colour, but she's using our Taubmans paint, which is fantastic. That's why I couldn't find the colour. No worries at all, but I will have a look for it and come back for an answer with an applicable Taubmans colour for you that's going to work equally as well, that won't throw the purple. That's pretty well it for our session tonight, everybody. Don't forget, mentioning the two wonderful competitions that we have going on, the Coloursmith Competition, and also, you know, what am I saying here? Let me just read it again. Your 50 chances to win $1,000. So do hop onto our Taubmans website and you'll see where the competitions have been pinned. You know, and very exciting to be able to create your own colour. as well. So as I always say, you know, thank you very much for joining our session. We look forward to doing another session again very shortly. And in the meantime, everybody stay safe out there. And as I always say, happy painting, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye.